Morning, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to take you on two jobs, so I'm basically going to take you through the full day. First job is a valet on a farm Land Rover. I think it was a Freelander. And then the second job is a bit of Lanoguarding, a bit of undersealing on a, I believe that was a Range Rover. So I'm going to take you with you on these jobs and see how we get on. Currently sat in the van waiting for the screen to clear, because the joys of everything being damp in the van is every morning we get up to this. So currently waiting for that. Once that's clear, we'll I'll put the noisy fan on, because that'll help the video. So I'll take you to the first job just down the road. Right, so we've got here to the first job, which is a Freelander. So just usual sort of dust and grime. I've just taken the seat cover off the front, so we'll give the seat a quick going over. Usual sort of state really, nothing too bad. I'll take out the air fresheners that make it obvious that they've been cheating on me. Yeah, it's not horrendously bad. A couple of carpets to do. So boot, which isn't working. First job, as always, we'll make a start on the inside because it's currently not raining. The weather's a bit volatile at the minute. I do prefer starting with the outside, but when it's not raining, crack on with the inside, because doing the inside in the rain, every time it rains, all the little plastics and everything, you end up with water drops on them, and you're just fighting a losing battle. So we'll start off, first job as always, nice noisy one. We'll start by blowing out the carpet, just to loosen everything up. Right, so what that does is it agitates everything. You saw in the footwells how much dust came out of the carpet. So we do that, so now when we go into hoover, everything's nice and loose. I'm not scrubbing at the carpet with the hoover. Everything's all the dust's out the carpet and laying on the surface now. So there'll still be odd bits, there'll be stubborn bits, but it does make the job a lot easier. So we'll start off, we'll give it a first hoover. I always end up hoovering twice, because we go over it once, and then as we're doing everything else in the vehicle, you're agitating dust and it falls to the floor. But I like to get rid of the bulk of it now, so we'll get on with hoovering. Hoover. I'm going to go over now with the drill brush and some what I have labelled as carpet lube. So this is basically a mix of some carpet cleaner solution, a little bit of fabric softener and water. And what this does is help, it helps release any dirt that's trapped in the carpet. So, and it helps weigh it down as well with the drill brush. If you go in with the drill brush, you're just flicking dust up and everything. If you dampen it, don't need to be soaked, but if you dampen it, it just helps weigh it down, and it tends not to fling all over the car as much. But it also helps release all the dust and all the rest of it. So, because you're releasing damp rather than dry ingrained dust, so it just helps a lot. So we'll go in and do that next. Let's have started the drill. Oh, camera's stuck. Right, so the carpet's at its first hoover, and it's really not too bad now, but there's a couple of bits, a couple of spots that are a little, let's see if I can get you, that'll do. So all we're going to do is give it a quick mist. As I said, the carpet doesn't need to be soaked, and then we're just going to go over it with the drill brush. And we'll get the hoover. Right, I'll show you what we're left with. So, let me just get the screen on the camera so I can see. So, what we've got is there's a, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's a little bit of ingrained dirt in the carpet there. That's not going to pull that out. We'd have to get steamers and things out and the actual proper extractor out for that. But this vehicle's just a mini valet. So, on a mini valet, I don't do a deep clean on carpets. I do a good clean, but not a deep clean. So, for a mini valet, this carpet's done. So it is clean, there's nothing actually in the carpet anymore. There's a couple of marks, a couple of stains, but for a mini valet, we're not getting them out. So I'll carry on, do the rest of the car. I'll pick you up for the next bit. Right, so we've jumped ahead a couple of steps. So what we've done is I've been round, I've wiped everything down, everything's had its treatment now. I might just have to do the steering wheel again, I've missed a little bit on there. So the seats we've given a good sort of brush off and a hoover, but it's only a mini valet, so we don't deep clean the seats on this one. So there are marks on it, but I've said before, you've got to know when to sit when. So the dash has been done, all the centre console's been done, we've had a final hoover in the carpets, the back's looking nice as well. So same on the back seats, there's a couple of marks. They do look a lot worse on the camera though than they actually are. I can't actually see that one without the camera. So yeah, the back seats are, they do need a deep clean, but not been paid to do it. Back carpets are all done, all the plastics, all the door cards, everything's all done in the back, so we can shut that up. So I've literally got the boot left to do, and then we can make a start on the outside. Right, we've finished up the inside. So like I said before, we're all done. So the carpets, I've just the rugs, I've just done a quick clean on. I've still got the rubber mats that was over the top to do, but I'll do them when I wash the outside of the car. I'll do them with the pressure washer. So the only thing I've got left to do is put the seat covers in and give the seat covers a quick wipe down. But yeah, it's looking a lot better. Right, we've made a start on the external. So these wheels really weren't that bad, so all I've had to do with them really is give them a sprayer down. I've scrubbed the tyres and we've had a rinse off and they've come up gleaming. So Again, mini valet, I don't focus too much on the barrels. These weren't too bad, so I've given them a quick rinse out. Same with the arches, they weren't too bad, so they've had a quick rinse. But mini valet, don't go mad. So wheels are done, inside the fuel cap's done. Can make a start on the outside properly now. So I'm going to go around, just spray the bottom third with some citrus, get some snow foam on it, and then we'll go from there. I'll set you up on here if I can. Something like that. Right, let's get on with it. Sit for a minute. It's running quite nicely there. Thickness is just right, so we'll let that sit for a minute. I'll rinse out the bucket that I did the wheels with while I wait for that. Step up out so I can reach the roof, because you know, height. It's drying quite fast, so I'm just going to put a really thin layer of snow foam on just to try and keep it wet, because drying it's a pain in the ass. I'll cleaning it once so bad on it. Right, so it's had a wash, it's had a contact wash. I'm going to hit it with some foaming wax now, just to give it a bit of protection. Again, we're not detailers.
So we're onto the drying portion now. So we've rinsed off the cold wax now. So what I'm doing first is I'm just going around with the airline again, just to blow out any water that's trapped behind trims, inside the petrol cap and behind door handles, things like that, around the mirror. Anywhere that later on after you've dried it you're going to get runs from, just try and blast the water out now, and it just helps minimise the runs later on. So now we've finished drying. Last job is we've just gone round and all the glass, and we're now finishing up with the trims and tyres, so a little bit of tyre shine, and then after this a couple of bits of trim on this. We're going a bit grey. It's one of them, it's this farm vehicle, but it just makes it more presentable. If it was my car on the farm in the state it was, I probably wouldn't bother, but you're presenting it to a customer and it's got to look right. So a little bit of trim gel, a little bit of tyre gel, and it just finishes it off nicely.
Right, car's finished, so it's looking alright. Trims are all done, tyres are done. It's had a good wash. It's not looking bad at all. Not bad for a little farm Land Rover. So that's that jobbed. I'll finish packing away, just a table to put away, and then we'll get on to the next job. Right, so we are here at the second job. Just going to move the van forward a touch so I can get the back open. That'll do. Oh. So I've already got it jacked up and ready, because if I cocked that up I didn't want it to be on camera. But we've got Range Rover Sporting for Lanoguard in, so we've just got tap on the floor, up on some ramps to make it a little easier. Suspension in full height, so we should be able to get under. So I'll get some gear out and we'll get under and take a look. Right then, so we are under the car now, all geared up. So it's not too bad. It's a little crusty in places, but it's not too bad at all. So you can sort of see, get the torch in there. That's a little bit better. So you can see there's a lot of surface corrosion on a lot of components. But that's just what we're trying to protect against, just anything getting worse. So I'm gonna set you up, try and avoid getting the camera covered in clean the camera off a little bit. It's a little bit blurry. Hang on. That's a bit better. No, it's not. Let's see if I can give that a clean. Oh, well, I've managed to rust proof the camera at least. So as you can see, all we're doing is spraying on the Lanoguard. There isn't really any loose flaky bits. I've given it a little bit of a wire brush, but to be honest, it's fairly stable under here. As you can see, we're just spraying everything. So Lanoguard, doesn't matter if you get it in plastics, you can spray it on anything. It doesn't eat or corrode anything. It literally just protects things. So any bolts or anything like that, like this little bit of thread here, we've got some of the thicker grease that just goes on, and it'll just make it easier if that nut ever has to come off for whatever reason. But yeah, this front corner is looking pretty well covered now. I'm just going to go on the outside to the other side of the wheel and make sure we're good on that side. But yeah, it's as simple as this, and this acts to convert the rust that's already there, so that'll help convert it, and also it adds, it's almost like a waxy coating, so it'll protect it from getting any worse as well. So any rust that's already there, it'll help convert back to metal, a little bit like crust, that hammerite stuff, and and it'll protect it afterwards to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. So just seen a little hole there, we'll give it a spray up and into there. Yeah, it's looking good, and after a couple of days it'll start to set. I might see with the customer, see if we can pop back in a couple of days and check on it. But yeah, we'll carry on. I'll film what I can, but I'm getting the camera covered in this stuff, so I'll film what I can. So I think that's all the front sort of subframe and suspension components done. So we'll start moving back down one side of the car, do the chassis leg, anything else that we can see. So yeah. This has got to be easier in a garage with our ramp. If you'll help me get my subscribers up, one day I might be able to afford a workshop. In fact, that is the dream. I'd love to have a workshop and buy things to almost like restore. I'd love to buy barn finds and film the restoration for YouTube. Not you know, not on nut and bolt restorations, but stripping them down, cleaning and repairing, recommissioning. That's the dream. But at 10 subscribers I can't do that, so let's try and resolve that. To see, if I'm honest, but all the chassis has now been coated. I managed to get up among all the suspension components. We've done everything that we can get to, really. I've used a couple of different adapters, a little bit of their motor grease on some of the components as well. So we're going to take the car off the ramps, get the tarp away, hand it back to the customer.
So while I speak to the customer and point out the bits of rust that have fallen off the bottom of his car, and he inspects it and checks it underneath his car, I'll sign off here since I forgot to record an outro. So if you could like and subscribe to the channel, that'd be really appreciated.